Hello and welcome. This video is going to be all about core. Grab a blanket, something to use padding for your knees, and also get just a small cloth. We'll be using that for something kind of unique and creative. Let's get started. Let's get started. We'll be spending time on our knees, so make sure you have a blanket or something that you can use for padding and a small cloth. And the cloth is going to go towards the back of your yoga mat, off the mat on the floor, preferably on a hardwood floor or something that it can slide easily on. We'll do a little warm up, seated, and then get moving and get our center core warmed up and strengthened today. So take a seat however you feel comfortable for a minute. You're welcome to fold up a blanket and put it under your tailbone. Give yourself a little lift up on the hips. It feels good. And today I want you to think about your core and your front ribs being like a corset, and that you're going to want to tighten them and lace it together in the front. So I want you to think about bringing your core to the midline, pulling it all in towards your belly button. We're going to be using that a lot today. Let's do a gentle, quick little warm up. Inhale, arms overhead, and press the air back down. Inhale up one more time. Exhale, bring your right hand to the mat and reach your left arm up overhead. You can look up if it's comfortable. Just feel a nice stretch in your left side all the way from your hip up through your ribs and armpit, upper arm. Inhale, both arms up overhead again. And exhale the left hand down. Reach the right arm up overhead. Look up if it's comfortable for your neck. Feel a beautiful side stretch all through your right side body. Inhale, both arms up. This time, exhale, bring your left hand to your right knee. Reach behind you with your right arm. Just a gentle twist. Keep both of your sit bones rooted into the mat. The twist is from the belly button up. Your hips aren't going to move. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, right arm to left knee. Reach your left arm behind you. Again, the twist happens from your rib cage up. Inhale, both arms up overhead. Hands together and down through heart center. We'll do a little bit of a seated cat-cow. So in this one, feel free to keep your hands on your thighs or your knees, or you can swing and move your arms if you'd like to. Wherever you're at in your breath, press all of the air out. And then on an inhale, I want you to shine your chest and your sternum up and forward. Look up slightly, not too much, don't kink your neck. And then as you exhale, round your back behind you, dip your chin, pretend like you're hugging a beach ball. Inhale, shine your chest and heart up and forward. Exhale, hug that beach ball. Dip your chin, give it a squeeze. Pretend there's a big beach ball right in your lap and you're giving it a squeeze. Inhale, forward. And exhale, one more. And inhale, forward. All right, we're going to come onto our knees, and we'll be on our knees quite a bit today. So if you need to, pause the video and grab a blanket or something that you can use for padding. Have that cloth, little cloth, washcloth behind you at the back of your yoga mat. So I love to use just a folded blanket. Gives me a little bit of cushion on my knees. And we'll start here. We'll do one more cat-cow, one or two more, just in this position. Same we did as seated. Press all the air out of your lungs, and on an inhale, shine your chest and heart forward and look in front of your mat. Exhale, arch your back up towards the ceiling. Tuck your tailbone down towards your heels and dip your chin. One more. Inhale, look forward. Think about opening up across your collarbones, shining your chest forward. Exhale, arch your back up towards the ceiling, dip your chin. Okay, from here, tuck your toes under. We're going to start with a really great way to modify a plank. So tuck the toes under, hands right underneath your shoulders, knees right under hips. Spread your fingers wide, toes tucked under. And what we're going to do here is just lift our knees off the mat a couple of inches. And notice your core. Here, I want you to pay attention to your core. Your gaze is straight down at the mat between your hands, long neck. Lower your knees down whenever you need to. And then again, when you're ready, lift up your knees off the mat a couple of inches and pay attention to your core. You're going to feel this a lot. This is a great way to modify a standard plank if that's not comfortable for you. And lower back down. From here, we're going to use that cloth that's behind us. So take one foot, and you might need to adjust as needed on your mat. Toes on that cloth, And think about being in tabletop pose, but your shoulders and your hips not moving. And what we're going to do here is use our side core to swing that leg around and back without moving your hips. So think about your hips being absolutely rooted in space, and you're moving that leg by using all of your oblique side muscles. So be sure as you do this that your right hip doesn't pop out if it's your left foot that's on the cloth. I'm going to keep those hips perfectly steady in space. This is all about core. We'll do one more on this side. And then bring both knees back to the mat. Press back into child's pose for just a moment. Nice big stretch. You can sway side to side a little bit here if that feels good. Then we'll come back up onto knees and do the other side. So your opposite foot, toes up on that cloth behind your mat. Find your stable base here, shoulders and hips. This hip does not move. I want to make sure that you don't sway that hip out to the side. Pull your core in and then use your obliques, the muscles along your side rib cage, to move that leg back and forth. Your hip on your standing leg is going to stay perfectly steady. We'll go ahead and leave that cloth back there. Take your knees wide, toes touching, and go ahead and sink your tailbone down towards your heels, however far is comfortable. One more child's pose. And in this child's pose, take your hands one step to the left or right, either side. We'll do both. Just feel a lovely stretch in your side. Take a deep breath here. And let it out. Bring your hands back to center. And then walk your hands one step to the opposite direction. Feel a stretch on the other side. And hands back to center. And we're going to come up onto kneeling. We'll be on our knees here. So make sure that you have enough padding if you need to. We're going to do a progression. So we're going to start easy with gate pose, and then we're going to do some stretching, and then with each repetition, we're going to build a little bit on it. At any point, if you want to stop and say, this is what feels good to me, then that's your stopping point, and you can repeat that over. We're going to start easy and build it up. So make sure your knees are padded. Take one leg out long. We'll do both sides, so it doesn't matter which leg you want to start with. So in gate pose right here, your knee that's on the mat here, your hip is stacked directly over it. Inhale, arms overhead. And then exhale, reach the same arm of the extended leg out, and nice side stretch here. You can look up if it's comfortable for your neck. Inhale up. Exhale your opposite arm down to the mat. You can bring your hand to a block if you'd like to. Your upper arm can be up towards the ceiling, or you can bring it overhead and feel that long line of stretch from your back heel all the way up through those fingertips. Now here you're going to use your core, your side muscles. You're going to inhale, lift all the way back up, and exhale back into that passive side stretch. Inhale up, exhale that opposite arm back down to the mat, and this time, if you'd like to, you can lift that extended leg up. Feel your hip and maybe your obliques working here. Drop that down. Use those core muscles to inhale back up. Exhale down into gate pose. Nice side stretch. Now, at any point, if you want to just stay where at either one of those two options, you can. Inhale up, or you can keep progressing with me. You choose. Exhale that opposite arm down. Lift that leg up. Or bring that lower leg out into a side plank. Make sure that the arm that you're on, your shoulder is directly over that wrist. Lower that knee down. Inhale. Use all of these side core muscles. Come back up. And then exhale down into gate pose. A nice stretch. Inhale up. We'll do one more. You choose which version of this you'd like to do. Exhale, lower that hand down. Make sure the shoulder's right over the wrist. Welcome to do either one of those other alternatives, side plank, or with your upper hand, grab the big toe of the lower leg and extend it out in front of you. And put a smile on your face. Lower that knee. Inhale back up to the top. One last stretching gate pose. Inhale up and exhale both arms back down. And if you'd like to, take a minute here, sway out your hips, roll around on your knee, whatever you need to do, any movement that feels good for you. Before we do the other side, you can drop back down into child's pose. It's up to you. And then we'll switch to the other side whenever you're ready. So extend the opposite leg out. This hip is right over the knee. So you're supporting your whole body weight on this leg. Inhale, circle arms overhead. And exhale, reach the same arm as the extended leg down. Just a beautiful side stretch here. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, the opposite hand down to the mat. Feel a stretch. Your raised arm can be up towards the ceiling, or you can bring it in front of you. Extend that stretch a little bit. And then again, you're going to use all of your obliques and side core and hip muscles to raise back up. Inhale up. Exhale, the same arm down. Just feel that lovely side stretch. And again, with this side, you progress as much as you want to. Inhale up. Exhale, that opposite arm down to the mat. And lift up that extended leg. Drop that foot down. Inhale, come back up. And exhale into that beautiful side stretch. Inhale up. Again, you choose which version of this you want to do. Exhale that opposite arm down to the mat. Keep that leg raised up again, or drop it down to the mat and come into a side plank. Make sure that the arm that you're supported on, the shoulder is directly over the wrist. And drop that knee down. Inhale, come back up to gate pose. Exhale down into that side stretch. Inhale up one more time. You choose which version you want to do. Exhale, lower that opposite hand down. You can come into side plank and stay here, or with your upper fingers, grab the big toe of that lower foot and extend it out in front of you. And drop the knee down. Inhale back up. One last stretch all the way down. Inhale, both arms up, back down onto your knees, and go ahead and come into hero's pose if that's comfortable for you, or whatever. We're just going to do a little bit of movement here. We've worked our side core a lot, so if you want to do some hip circles or a little bit more cat-cow, what does your body want to do right now? We'll take just a moment, and then we're going to come into some planks and some mountain climbers, work on more of our core. So from here, what we'll do is come into plank pose. Start on your hands and knees. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Shoulders are directly over your wrists. Tuck your toes under. We'll press up into downward facing dog. And we're going to do a combination of mountain climbers and plank. So from here, we'll come into downward dog. Tuck your toes under. You're going to lift your hips up towards the ceiling. You're welcome to keep your knees bent if that's comfortable. If you'd like to, you can move that mat out of the way. You can try alternating one knee and then the other. Press into your knuckles. Make sure that your fingers are spread wide and your gaze is towards the center of your mat or back towards your feet. Find some length in the back of your neck. You can work on lowering one heel down to the mat and then the other. And here, think about that corset that I talked about at the beginning, that you have a corset on and you're tightening up the whole front core. So in downward dog, our core is really, really engaged. It's not a free fall here. If I just let my core go, you can see that my back just really rounds. But if I think about tightening up that corset in the front of my ribs, notice how I'm engaging all that core. Big difference between just hanging loose and engaged core. From here, walk your feet forward to the front of the mat. And we're going to just dangle here for a second. Hold on to opposite elbows, sway side to side. Let your head fall heavy, crown of head towards the floor. We're going to inhale very slowly, roll up one vertebra at a time. The very last thing to come up is going to be your head. All right. So we're going to work on some planks and some mountain climbers. This is a really great way to work on being able to step your foot through when you're doing sun salutations or anything that involves going from a plank to a downward dog and then bringing that back foot through. It's all about core. So let's work on that. Inhale, circle arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Put a little bend in your knees. Inhale to a half lift, a nice long spine. Find length in the back of your neck here. Exhale, forward fold, hands to the mat, and we'll come into plank. So in plank, I want you to spread out your fingers. You're up on your toes. Check that your hips aren't dropping too low. They're not raised up too high. Try to be in one straight line from the back heels all the way up through your spine to the crown of your head. And then press up into downward facing dog. If you need to adjust where your feet are on the mat, please do so. And from here, what we're going to do is roll forward. Think of a wave in the ocean. We're going to start with our shoulders. We're going to arch our shoulders up and roll forward into plank. And then use your core, tighten up your core. Use your core to lift back into downward dog. If your heels don't reach the mat, that's totally fine. So we'll start that wave again. Think about a wave motion starting with our head and our shoulders. Roll your shoulders, arch your shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. And roll into plank. Tighten up that core in the front of your ribs. Use your core to press your hips up towards the sky. Once more, we're going to roll forward. Start with the head, neck, and shoulders. Roll forward. Your core is really engaged and holding you up here. And then use your core to pull your hips up towards the ceiling. And walk your feet forward to the front of the mat. Come into a half lift. And take a full breath here. Full breath cycle. Full inhale. Full exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Bend in your knees. And slowly inhale and circle arms all the way around and up. And exhale your arms back down. So now we're going to add some mountain climbers into that. We'll add on a little bit. And again, if you don't want to do that, don't need to, you can stop and just continue doing what we've already done. It's your choice. Inhale, circle arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Put a little bend in your knees. It'll protect your low back. Inhale, half lift. Draw your shoulder blades down and back towards your tailbone. Exhale, forward fold. Hands to the mat. We'll step back to plank again. So what we're going to do here is come up into downward dog. And then lift one leg up high. I'm starting with my left. Just you remember which one you're starting with. It's up to you. And what we're going to do is on an exhale, we're going to draw this upper knee, bend it, draw it towards our nose. So exhale, crunch that knee up towards your nose. Inhale, reach that foot up long again. This time we'll do it again. Crunch that knee to nose on an exhale. Inhale long. This time we're going to bring that knee to the same elbow. So left knee to left elbow or right knee to right elbow. Exhale, crunch that knee to the outside of the elbow. Your core is holding you up. Inhale high. One more time, same knee to same elbow. Inhale high. This time we're going to cross the knee over to the opposite elbow. So exhale across your body. Inhale high. Exhale, cross body. Inhale high. Go ahead and drop that foot down. Wiggle. Do whatever you need to do here before we do the other side. So check that your hands are spread wide, fingers are wide. You're pressing into the fingers and the knuckles here. Inhale the other leg high. Take a nice deep breath here. And on an exhale, you're going to bend your knee, crunch it, bring it up towards your nose. Inhale high. Exhale, bring that knee to nose. Inhale high. This time bring that knee to the same elbow. Exhale, bring it to the same elbow. Inhale high. Same elbow. Inhale high. This time cross it over to the opposite elbow. Exhale, cross over. Inhale high. Cross it over. Inhale high. Bring that foot back down to the mat. Go ahead and drop your knees to the mat. Take your knees wide. We'll come to child's pose for a minute and just reconnect with our breath. Sink your tailbone back down towards your hips. whatever comfortable for you. You can walk your hands forward and keep your arms active. You can bend your elbows. Put your hand one on top of the other, palms down, and rest your forehead on it. Connect with your breath. Connect with your core. We've done a lot of core work today. Just notice how that feels. We'll do a little bit more core work, but it'll be lying down. When you're ready, bring your hands to the mat and press up. Go ahead and roll over onto one side. So what we're going to do is just shift your hips to one side. Bring your feet out in front of you. Let's come into butterfly pose and just work on our wrists a little bit, moving them around since we did a lot of downward dogs and planks today. So you're welcome to stay in butterfly pose here. You can prop something under your knees if you need to, or you're welcome to just come to an easy seat, cross-legged, whatever's more comfortable for you. You can always prop a blanket up under your rear end if you need to. Clasp your fingers and just do some very gentle figure eights. We put some pressure on our wrists today, so let's just be kind to them and give them a little stretch. Now reverse direction. Maybe stretch them out. Fingers clasped and reach your palms in front of you. Feel a lovely stretch through your shoulder blades while you did this as well. And one more stretch. We'll stretch the back side of our wrists. So normally we stretch the front. So come to heart center, hands at prayer pose, and then keeping your pinky fingers together, open your palms towards your heart, and then continue bringing your thumbs all the way around so that the backs of your hands are together. Your thumbs might touch, they might not. Just kind of aim for trying to get them to touch. Press the backs of your hands into each other so your palms are facing out right and left. Lower your shoulders down. Make sure your shoulders aren't scrunched up by your ears, and then keeping those palms firmly pressed together, the backs of your hands, lower down. And it doesn't take much, just a couple of inches to feel a beautiful stretch in the back of your wrist. Make sure you're not scrunching up your shoulders. Just enjoy this stretch for a moment. We'll do a little bit more core lying down. Go ahead and gently release that. Roll your hands if you need to, in any way that feels good. And now we'll come into boat pose. If you'd like to, you can put a blanket under you. Otherwise, we'll come into boat pose right here. You can have several options for your feet. But first, I want to talk about our upper body in boat pose. No slouching down. I want you to think about having a string attached to your chest, your collarbone, or your sternum right here, and being pulled forward so that you're opened up across your chest. It's really important to keep that nice length in your spine without slouching down. So think chest open and forward. You're welcome to keep your feet to the ground. You can come up onto your toes, or you can raise your legs up. And you can hold the backs of your calves or your thighs right here. Think about opening up your chest, shining your heart forward. Boat pose, you're balancing on your tailbone, and your core is what's holding you up. You can always bring your feet or toes down to blocks if that's more comfortable, or lower your feet all the way down, and then sit back up. If you'd like to, you can come into butterfly pose with your feet extended quite a ways in front of you. Roll forward. Find some length in the back of your neck, and walk your hands up. And we're going to do something a little bit different. So in boat pose this time, if you can, you don't have to, you can repeat what we just did if you don't want to try this, but bring one foot up and hold on with your two first fingers, your index and middle finger, hold on to that big toe, and think about trying to straighten out that leg. Again, keeping your chest and collarbones big and open. You can always keep a bend in your knee if you need to. Go ahead and lower that down and sit up straight. We'll try the other foot. So your middle and index finger are going to grab around the big toe. Lean back a little bit into boat pose. Chest open, no slouching of the back. Try to straighten out that leg. And then bend that knee, drop the foot down, come back up to sitting straight. Now we're going to try it one more time. This is balance on our tailbone, on our sit bones, not our tailbone, with both legs. And you don't have to do this if you don't want to. You're welcome to just come into a standard boat pose. So grab one big toe and then the other, as if we were in butterfly pose, keeping your chest and collarbones wide open, your heart shining forward. You're gonna tip back onto your sit bones and raise both legs up. No slouching of the back. Think about your heart shining straight up and forward. Go ahead and rebend your knees, drop down into butterfly pose, and go ahead and dip your chin, round your back, and come forward. And use your hands to walk back up. We're going to lie down and do one more gentle but really wonderful core exercise, and then we'll be done. So sit towards the middle of your mat. We're going to lower down using that boat pose. You're welcome to keep your feet to the mat. And I want you to think about really opening up across your chest. Your arms can be forward or you can hold on to the back of your thighs. We're going to lower down very, very slowly using our core. All the way down. Go ahead and give a nice big stretch. Feel those abs stretching out. Maybe sway side to side a little bit here. Swaying your arms in a circle slightly above your head. Rainbow those hands. Bend your knees, and what we're going to do here is come into dead bug pose. Feet straight up towards the ceiling and hands straight up towards the ceiling. Take a moment here. Roll out your ankles, roll out your hands. It feels wonderful. And this will involve a little bit of coordination. From here, what we're going to do is lower opposite hand and leg down to the floor, while the other opposite hand and leg stay pointed up towards the ceiling. Very slow and controlled here. So lower opposite arm and leg down, and then raise both back up. Pay attention to what muscles you feel working here. Now switch which arm and leg, lower down, and then slowly raise back up. Some interesting core. This works the really deep, deep core muscles that sometimes get neglected. And this is not about speed, it's about slow control. Opposite arm and leg, lower and raise down. Let's do 2 more on each side. It takes a little bit of coordination also. Last one. And then go ahead and wiggle one more time. Roll your wrists, roll your ankles, and then draw your knees towards your chest, however you'd like to. You can have your knees together or apart. It's up to you. Maybe come into a lying butterfly, reclined butterfly if that feels good. You're welcome to hug your knees into your chest and give a little side-to-side roll. Give yourself a back massage. And we'll end with just one last twist on each side. Nice, gentle, passive twist. Extend one leg long and keep the other knee up towards your shoulder. Give it a hug, give it a squeeze. And then with the opposite hand, draw that knee across your body. That hip is going to pop up, but keep both shoulder blades rooted to the mat. So your opposite arm can come into a T, or you can bend that elbow. Bring your hand up with palm facing the ceiling. Just feel a lovely twist through your hip and through your side core here. Take a full deep breath cycle in and out. And then bring that knee back up towards your chest. Give it one last hug. And we'll switch sides. Lower that leg down straight. Draw the opposite knee up towards your shoulder. Give it a nice squeeze. You might feel a little pinch in your hip. That's fine. Just a nice stretch. Then with the opposite hand, draw that knee across your body. This hip is going to pop up off the ground, but think about keeping both shoulders rooted to the mat. Your opposite arm can be out into a T, or you can bend that elbow. Bring your hand up, palm facing the ceiling. Take a full, complete breath cycle here, a complete inhale and a full exhale. Bring that knee back up towards your chest. Give it one last hug. One last full body stretch, arms overhead. Reach your toes to the opposite side. Full stretch. And then I'd welcome you to just stay in Shavasana. You're welcome to keep your legs long, or you can bend your knees. Make any adjustments that you need to feel comfortable and completely relaxed. Your arms can be out to your sides, palms up, or you can put hands on belly. And take 3 really nice deep breaths here. Slow, full breaths. Thank you for joining me today in this core workout. Namaste.